Do it.
End call.
We are now up and running. Hello.
All right, let's go ahead and go through the basics. Everybody, please hit record. I'm gonna
All right.
I am recording.
pick your nose if you need to, since we're not live. All right. So, if you actually would have blew something out, that would have been gross. All right, go ahead and clap on. Please no. Clap on 30. Fucking
shit.
idiots.
Okay.
Yeah, one job, John.
Please clap.
Please clap.
And then we're gonna go ahead and clap on 40. So we have a little bit of a break. Oh, that was actually seems like it was in unison. So hello, and you're watching or listening to the Zone of Hot Truth, a bi-weekly podcast, I believe now, where 4 aspiring DMs talk about their experiences, opinions, and hot takes in some amount of time that we haven't decided on. I'm Kevin.
I'm Eric, and if anyone solves my puzzle from yesterday, tweet at us and I'll mail you something.
I'm John, and it wasn't yesterday. It was an amount of time ago determined by when we released this.
I don't even remember why I said yesterday.
Because
you solved last week's puzzle.
It also wasn't. Like when this airs, it will not have been last week.
I'm Grant, and it could have been last week if anyone watched live or watched the VOD. So technically, it could have been yesterday. Maybe.
If you
technically
watch listen
nobody watched live.
The puzzles episode and solve my puzzle, I will mail you something. Just tweet at us.
So I got a bunch
shit.
Jeez.
We tweet.
Yeah, I sent out a tweet.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
No,
cool.
I'm good.
All right, I'll find a gap and I'll go ahead and retweet that when I get a chance. Okay, so our topic for today is actually one of deep introspection. So we're actually going back to one of our much older episodes where we decided to do a set of D&D resolutions, and we're gonna go. I think it was 6 months was the period, right? So I think we're getting close enough, right? By the time this goes out, it'll probably be it'll be 6 months. But we're revisiting those to see exactly what changed, what happened, how do we feel about them currently. So why don't we just go around and just talk about exactly what our initial resolutions are really quickly, and then we'll go into the discussion. So who wants to start us off? Who has the burning desire to talk about what they had said they would do?
Eric, go.
Yeah,
you were productive.
Yeah, I was productive. Well, let's table the productivity discussion. My initial goal was to run 10 sessions of an OSE campaign using a hex crawl with no big bad, no pre-planned or even big bad developed. Just kind of let the players through their characters wander around and kind of set their own goals, set their own what they were interested in, and go from there. Nothing overarching, and nothing certainly pre-planned. As far as what I've accomplished on that is kind of a little bit of twofold. I have run 8 sessions of OSE, not 10, but on the right track using that method. And I think that went really well. I also have in that time ran 4 sessions of Knave, doing something very similar. I think the Knave one was a little less successful, whereas I think the OSE one was a little closer. But there's still a lot that I learned from it and I'd want to develop.
It makes it sound like you're done with OSC. We're still planning on playing that next week.
Yes, definitely.
Just like Eric just drops the mic. It's like, no, it's dead. He's killing it live.
No. I love it. I think there's interesting mechanics that I've learned and I've changed over 6 months as far as like development. Like Knave, my love for Knave has changed drastically, and I think Knave's really good for a few sessions. I think for something more protracted, greater than 3 or 4 sessions, I think Knave gets a little more difficult.
Why?
So I really like it's something about me. I like having classes.
Yeah,
I do.
There we are.
I also like I think it's the DC roll
Traitor.
system's really good. Trader. I'm never looking at 5e. I would consider my goal failed if I ran 5e during that time frame. But there are other systems that I want to try to find a way to graft into OSC, and OSC is not terrible to where that I think that could be done, such as learning about not requiring rolls to hit, and that whole idea
Yes.
that is just
Welcome to
so.
NSR.
The more I think about it, the more I realize, why do we roll to hit? At best, it's not fun, and it's just a move on. Like I, I'm going to quote John here and say, let's get to the good parts.
We might have
Please,
a can of
please don't
worms
polarize
that
my
hit
players for
discussion.
tomorrow. Please don't polarize my players for tomorrow. All right, so who's next on the
I
resolution
can go
camp?
next.
Go ahead.
So my resolution 6 months ago was to really start to seriously flesh out the new setting I was putting together and working on for my next live game, which I've actually been lucky enough to have started about a month ago. And in this, over the last 6 months, my main goal was to like get the factions down, their overarching goals, motivations, kind of how they were structured, where they sat on the map, and then also start to develop enough of each of those areas so they had a few basic towns and some general organizations and like guilds for me to work with. And I actually think I was able to successfully do that. I was able to put together a paragraph or a few paragraphs detailing the general motivation, structure, and goals and kind of theming for all of the factions on the continent. I was able to flesh out several cities for all of the factions, so that way, if the players wanted to start in any of them, I'd have at least a small little hub, like kind of the spokes of a wagon wheel branching out from a central town to start with. And yeah, so I think I was able to achieve my goal. I didn't quite end up building the world as much as I would have liked, but I gave myself a good enough framework to where we're about to run the 5th session next week, and I haven't even gotten close to running out of prep work. And there's very little I've actually had to do as far as adding more to the world, like organizations or spy agencies, guilds, all of that nonsense. I pretty much have everything I needed ready to go.
So I got to ask you about that.
Sure.
I'm someone where, like, prepping that far ahead of time, I'm going to start rewriting. Because in my head, I'm going to have thought, okay, I've entertained that idea in my head, I played it out, and then something new is going to come to my head. It's just going to cause massive rewrites. Do you suffer from that, or what do you do when faced with kind of the new sparks that cause you to think, oh, I could redesign this entire city?
Save as PDF.
So that's actually why I only prepped like 2 or 3 towns for each of the factions. So that way
but that's a
I
massive
left
amount of
myself
work,
a
right?
lot of space to develop and think of ideas for other cities, and if I got a cool idea or a concept I was interested in wanting to explore, I still have like a half dozen to a dozen cities and towns left to work with within each faction, and my map has like 6 factions on it, so I have literally 50 towns and cities untouched that if I get a cool idea, I can work on it and throw it in there. And since I've left it open like that, if my players suddenly decide to do a 180, travel halfway across the continent to another faction, and I have a cool idea that fits, I can just drop it in the next town in front of them. So hopefully I won't suffer from the whole rewrite problem, because that has been an issue that's come up in the past for me, because I have a bad habit of over prepping. So I'm trying to rein myself in.
So my question was, do you feel like you've over prepped? You talked about like having more than enough content.
Yes.
You feel like you've over prepped?
I feel like I've over prepped a little bit in places, but I personally at least have the mindset of there's no such thing as wasted prep, because even if I put together like 3 quests for the town they go to and they just blow right through it, I have the framework of 3 quests that I can tweak and rework. I can change the type of monster they're fighting, the item they're trying to achieve, but I have like the dungeon and maps, for example, might still be good, and I can just use them later and retool it. It's definitely a problem because it doesn't always work, but my goal with a setting is pretty much all the campaigns and one-shots and like 1 to 3 session like mini things I run. I'm going to be trying to use this setting, so hopefully I'll be able to use it eventually. And if not, then well, that would suck, but oh well.
Into the dumpster right now. It sounds like we're 2 for 2 now for people who have achieved their goal in a capacity that sounds satisfying, right? Can you both say that you've been kind of satisfied with your the kind of the progress and or just checkbox that you have marked?
Yeah.
Before we go on to John, you're next.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
I'm definitely
Couple of
happy.
consistent failures.
I think good. I think definitely something where I think I'll get into a little bit more about how I would analyze success, but I want to hear
Okay.
more about John's.
Okay.
Okay, so then I guess I talk now. So
Yeah.
my goals were to finish a campaign. I wanted to finish my Salt Marsh campaign that I've been running. And I wanted to experiment in a different system. I do feel like some of the people that I share podcasts with are experienced in the number of systems that they've run in, so that, like, they have like a good like breadth versus depth, and I think that's something that I was lacking. I still think I'm lacking. I guess it's easier to start with the campaign. I have not finished the campaign. I've run 2 sessions, 3 sessions,
24
3
hours
sessions
worth
of
of
Salt
time.
Marsh. Sorry again, there.
24 hours of time,
Yes.
not just like a 3-hour session.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah,
I'm clarifying.
his sessions are like
Well,
6
to
to
the
8
caveat,
hours.
we'll put that in the show notes at some point.
I'm almost
Marathon,
broken
yeah.
100 hours in 15 sessions of Salt Marsh. So I have not finished it. We're not triggered the end game yet, so I still think there's a ways to go.
Oh wow, I thought you were close to the end.
I am, and the players are engaged with stuff that they're doing. I'd put like an intermediate, like immediate goal that they need to take care of. Somebody was trying to kill them, so okay, go to this pirate town and kill person that's trying to kill them, and then they spent 8 hours shopping for hats, in the pirate town.
The Pirate Town. Okay,
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute, this one.
But you were looking forward to the Pirate Town.
I was very
Yeah.
much looking forward to the Pirate Town. Pirate Town's been fantastic. I've really enjoyed.
What's that
running
module again that you got?
Nice to have things to look forward to.
Yeah, what is that?
Krakenfall
is the name of the.
Where'd you get Krakenfall?
Of the internet?
Eric, God.
Wow, how insightful, John.
A dog. It came up on like I think our D&D naval campaigns.
Okay.
That is a highly specific subreddit.
Wait, there's a subreddit.
All 10 people
D&D
contribute to that.
naval subreddit. What?
Yes.
This month, 5 votes. On on a post. That's what I can imagine.
It is a very
So
small,
niche.
and the Venn diagram of our D&D naval campaigns and Ghost of Saltmarsh it's a circle. It's everything in our D&D naval campaigns is a repost of something.
I believe
from
that.
Ghost of Saltmarsh.
It's really just Saltmarsh asterisk.
Yeah.
Subreddit.
So I really like the module. It's essentially some kid was doing it as like a fun project and went back to school and couldn't finish it, so he's just said, here, people, have this for free. It's like 80 pages, and it's fucking gold. I highly recommend it to anybody running a D&D naval campaign.
Aye, aye.
But the campaign's been going really well. I don't know how much longer it's going to go. I could I want to still be done in 6 months. Obviously, there was not a lot of not obviously, I suppose, but between when we made that guess, when I set my goal, I've only actually had 3 sessions of it. We only wanted to do in person, and we're doing other stuff during quarantine times. Now that we're all vaccinated, we're meeting again and playing in person again.
Nice.
But
So the bear coming out of the cave. The bears are going into the cave. To
yes,
that's the reverse image I got.
Everyone's
the
woken
winter.
up from their slumber.
yeah. So yeah, now we're getting back to it. So I'm expecting another 5 sessions ish, maybe 6. I like every time I say it, I think I go, it'll be another 5 or 6.
Let's.
And then they spend an entire session shopping for hats and bar hopping.
For everyone watching, that 5 to 6 sessions equates to about 38 more hours.
Why don't you just talk about hours, John, instead of saying
You
sessions?
should do that.
At this
everyone else can
point-
say sessions.
Because there's a standard metric for what session means in D&D, and that
And
is
you're
not the
twice
standard
that.
metric. Yeah.
It's like
I
you're
will say
using
too.
imperial units, everyone else is using metric.
Nobody, when it gets to that end game time, I don't think anyone can accurately predict how many sessions are left. Any DM can until it's the final session. I swear, I've never heard anyone predict that correctly.
I have been off by. I have never once successfully guessed it. I have every single time I'm like, oh, there's going to be X number of sessions left. It's my players just spend 5 sessions doing nothing. I'm just like, okay, well that went out the window.
It's funny because even the players don't know how many sessions, because I felt like for a while there, every time we were playing Curse of Strahd, I was like, okay, we got another 5 sessions left, and then we're done. And then other stuff kept happening.
If I'm reading the page of a book and then turning it and reading the next page, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it's always hard to predict.
Yes.
I like it. It comes down to what the players do and what the players engage with, and how quickly I say, fuck it. The bad thing starts happening. Deal with it, you fucks.
What
And
about you,
as
Kevin?
for my other goal of run a different
Fuck Eric real quick. Anyway.
Absolutely fuck Eric.
I just want to call that out before he tries to ninja that down into the...
That's our unofficial motto, right?
Silence.
Just fuck Eric.
Yeah. Well...
No, I did my part.
Eric can eat my ass. Anyway.
I can't believe you taught that to John. That phrase. Anyway.
You didn't teach me that.
Okay. How
As
did this go?
Your other goal.
My other goal of running
Ass
a
eating?
different system. Oh yeah, my ass eating has been going great. But
Soundbite.
soundbite. Put that as a ringtone. As for my other goal of running a different system, I've made 0 progress on it whatsoever. I had opportunities. During the quarantine, we were doing online games, and had the opportunity to run other systems. I had made a pitch for running a Lancer, and there was definite interest in it, but more interest in doing something in D&D.
It's rough.
It's fine.
Sounds like every game store.
Sounds like people know what they like.
By the way, if anybody who's listening to this, our 5 listeners, you should look at Lancer, if only for the art, but the system itself is I think more tactically sound than D&D. In what it does. It feels more like it is the XCOM without being the the horror that is Shadowrun, if anybody's familiar with that system. Anyway, I just wanted to put that out there.
Lancer's delightful.
It is. I really want to get the hardback book.
Yeah, if you find it, let me know. I've been looking.
Don't worry, John knows this excellent source called the internet. I'm sure it's there.
Oh yeah, everybody has
Titanfall.
yeah.
Crickets.
Everybody has the PDF. You can't get the hardcover book because Kickstarter. I wish I had done that.
So I guess my quick question is: so have you opened a book in this time between now and then for another system and read through it, or has it actually not even happened? Like, how far did you get? Did you open and start writing something, or was it just like you skimmed through a rule set?
I had looked through, like, back when I had originally made the goal, I had looked through the rule set for Lancer after
What about after?
We had played it. And then have not looked at it since.
Okay.
I revisited Call of Cthulhu.
Oh, okay.
I got that box and made it about halfway through the solo starting adventure. And
oh shit, really? Okay.
Yeah.
How'd that go?
I kind of forgot about that actually.
Yeah, so that's actually on the goal, right? If that's in between,
it's on the goal. I didn't finish it, and it wasn't. I didn't run it for anybody. It was myself, like, teaching me the mechanics. It was fun. Awesome. I by myself was like an odd experience.
Yeah. I felt in Ironsworn. We'll talk about that later.
I like solo.
It was definitely
hard to believe knowing who you are, but anyway, we'll talk about that later.
It was not for me.
That's fair.
It was not for me. I felt like I was reading a book, and I do not like reading. It didn't feel like I was playing an RPG. It felt like I was reading a book. So it was not for me.
Choose your own adventure. Yeah.
That's exactly how the book is set up. It's a choose your own adventure.
Right. So page 42 or page 39.
Turn to section 155, and then keep flipping until you get to 155. So I guess I can get it with an asterisk. I didn't actually run it for anybody.
It's at least a step in that direction, though. You got familiar with the system, kind of learned how it worked, at least.
I probably couldn't do character creation, but I could reasonably run a session of Call of Cthulhu. I don't know how monsters work, because they've just told me what their damage dice are. But I think I could probably run a session, assuming something's already prepared.
I don't think you're really supposed to know how monsters work.
In Call of Cthulhu or in general?
Call of Cthulhu. Watson doesn't know how they work.
Okay. Let's get off this.
There, punch your bingo card.
All right. I guess it's me, or is it me?
It's
and then
you.
We'll talk about some other stuff. Okay. So I probably am going to be the Eeyore of the group here. So we'll see. This probably is going to be more short-winded, I think. Short-winded, I think.
Yeah, that's
okay. I just wanted to. I never heard it in the wild until I just popped out of my mouth. So, like, that's not real. It's sometimes you look at the on a page. I don't know if this happens to anybody. You go, is that spelled right? And it's it is, or like, is that a word, or like some other like weird word comes up, or it's not even weird. It's just a normal. Good. Okay, I'm glad I'm not alone in that, and I'll stare at it. And anyway, okay, so let's actually talk about my resolutions. So, I think mine were pretty simple. So it was by June, I think I said, or whatever, the 6-month period that we have there, that I would at least end one of the 2 campaigns that I have going on. So that has happened. I will not be returning to Curse of Strahd. And I am still debating whether I return to Saltmarsh, if at all. I think I've is this where I talk about the inner turmoil of Kevin here? But I think what I've just kind of learned, at least over the last few months, so there's a lot that makes me unhappy in long-term campaigns. I think there's also a lot that makes me unhappy in 5e. John, I'm not shitting on 5e. Obviously,
That's
this
fine.
is just there's so many aspects that are like points of friction that I've had to like butt up against that I've just I can't imagine myself returning to that except for like a one shot or something, which like I'd be amenable to at the least. So I'm not like fuck 5e, this sucks, but I'm not. But I'm also kind of like I don't know it's for me for long term campaigns and the like. And if anybody has not listened to the resolution episode, I've run Curse of Strahd for 3 years. From what is it, the beginning, like mid 2018, I believe now.
Yep, of October 2018.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that has been rough because like so many things have I think come up in my life that have made it difficult to try and run that. And I think that the way our group operates has made it kind of difficult for like not for anyone like reason that's anyone's fault, but just to try and get that going when life can be that tumultuous. And I think I've learned, at least in the last few months, that I don't think running RPGs is it's not a top tier hobby for me. And that's something that I'm coming to grips with. Like it's something that I enjoy doing, but it's in the same way that I enjoy a video game. It's not in the same way. It's not. I don't feel the same kind of gusto. Usually that happens in the honeymoon phase when I'm reading a system or I'm running it. But that's it. So that's kind of going more in depth than kind of like a maybe I had initially intended, but like it's been interesting to kind of figure that stuff out. And I'm learning that you can't say things like put on a shelf. This is just from like my reading, but you can't say things like put on a shelf. You can't say things like I'm on break, because what that implies to your players and to my other players is that he's going to come back to that as well. And I think that's unfair to the players because they'll have this hope that that's there. So that's why I'm trying to use that more concrete language regarding that. Maybe sucks. Don't tell anybody maybe as like a side on a podcast, because everybody maybe means yes in human psychology.
Yeah,
like
there's the hope
like,
of okay,
yeah.
so there's a chance.
So if you're going to an event or like if you're going to an RPG thing and you say maybe I'll come, you're telling the person you're coming, and the only way to say is I will not come, and then you show up. And I'm not kidding about this. Like this is actually like a psychological thing. But anyway, that's my little diatribe. Yeah. Like that too. That's part of it. Besides the emotional aspect. But anyway, so that's the deep deuce that I chose to drop on my fellow DM's chest right now. So enjoy.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go ahead and rocket chair out of here.
Throw a grenade into the room, close the door, and just
Yeah.
You did having the goal like during that 6 months, was that something that caused you to reflect on? Or was this something that the goal was that us discussing this back in January and setting these goals, did that have any impact on your decision making or thought processes?
Yes, I guess yes and no. It gave a door, which I don't think I had with Curse of Strahd. Like you can say yes, like you could have left at any time, but there's so many social factors that I can talk about there, even with like Saltmarsh, like and internal struggles as well that make that hard to kind of say. So the goal there like gave that, and then I think I've talked to a few of you about like each month, where I've tried to assess different aspects of this. But yeah, it's just something that I think I've accepted kind of regarding that. But I think the goal is helpful as a whole, and that's something we can probably transition to if anybody has any other kind of blurbs to add upon that.
So my question was, you said don't say maybe, and then you kind of gave a maybe for Saltmarsh. What's got you holding on to Saltmarsh?
Good catch. So I think what I'm talking about there, one of my players said, "Oh, we're playing Saltmarsh next week," and they asked, and so that kind of that kind of caused like a kind of a circuit there. I haven't told them. I said no, there's no salt marsh next. I haven't told them like that directly. I think they still, because I've said I need to take a break, that the language I've used it indicates that I might be making a return to that. But that's something that I would have to talk to them in kind of greater depth. The only reason is because this is their first campaign. They haven't run a game before. And so I think there's part of me that realizes this is kind of important with how close it is to kind of maybe get that done. But it's also maybe a projected kind of thing. Like it doesn't matter to them if the campaign fizzles out. But yeah.
Yeah, because I think what you just said there at the end, because I feel like to a lot of players, if a campaign ends up fizzling, most players probably don't dwell on that for too long, because there's always another like campaign that can be found. Going to a game store, another friend in the group has an idea, and I feel like it's easy as the DM to just kind of create what might be kind of imaginary pressure that it must be finished. Maybe not in every case, but I feel like definitely in some cases, in some groups where everyone's like good friends and it's not a random game store group. To where, like more often than not, they're your friends, and if you say sorry, like I can't finish it, they're probably just gonna be like, oh, no worries.
Yeah, it's the bane of the organizer, because you are in some way responsible for some aspect of it, of people's fun, whether you say that's not the case or not, but yeah, I think that's a good point to make there, Grant. Anything else before we kind of transition? Yeah. I forgot what we talked about, actually. What did I say that we were transitioning into?
Reflecting on goals, I think is
yeah.
I think Eric, you touched on that. Is there anything that you want to add regarding kind of like your kind of reflections upon like what you've set and what you've completed?
Yeah. So what I have done, and the reason why I picked 10 sessions of OSE is because I ran 10 sessions of Knave. I've definitely run 5e. So
when'd you do that?
When? Actually, we're coming up on our 4-year anniversary of beginning playing. So
we
happy
actually
anniversary, guys.
Fuck you. Shithead.
So doing 10 sessions, I think, is
my ass
enough to where I start to like get more reflective on how the system has some sort of long-term impacts. Because man, using Knave is super easy on a one shot, super easy in 2, and then once leveling up starts to occur, I start to realize a lot of the pressures leveling up in Knave is putting on me as a DM, and how that was changing. OSE, I think I'm learning a lot as far as, oh my god, doing experience systems close-ish to by the book-ish. Even with my extra experience points add-on, man, leveling is very, very different than how I've always played and how I've always run.
Yeah.
I don't mind it necessarily, but it definitely makes me like clench my teeth when I'm like, holy crap, it's been 6 sessions. 6 2 to 3 hour sessions of no one's leveling, and it makes me a little nervous.
And you're hearing players chatter, right, like about it in some degree. Yeah,
a little bit of that, but mostly it's me. It's a lot of the imaginary conversations of like, oh god, they have not leveled. I need to give them more. There needs to be more and more and more, and I need to throw more in, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I don't have a ton of experience running the old. I mean, I didn't run back in the 80s or 90s. I don't know how leveling was done then and how magic items were handed out then. So I'm kind of nor is there a dearth of streams of people playing those sessions for multiple sessions to where those games multiple sessions to where I can see kind of what that progression looks like.
I'm sure there's a VHS tape out there somewhere that you can
pull up. The Twitch stream games are a dime a dozen, but you're right, no one's really streaming OSC, OSR, or even older editions of D&D.
I bet you could find a 3.5 if you tried.
Yeah, but then you have to watch 3.5, and nobody wants to do that well and play that.
A lot of people have rose-colored nostalgia over it.
Yeah.
Overall editions, I think you can find games of every edition out
Definitely.
now.
Probably.
Yeah.
More 3.5 than 4E for sure.
Definitely.
I've seen more 2E than anything else, but that's another thing.
2E
Interesting.
people are really into 2E. I don't know
Yeah.
what it is, but man, if you like 2E, you are not moving. Does have some pretty cool books.
Oh yeah.
It's got a lot.
Some say the best.
I think one of the things that I hesitated with, you guys asked me to mark my goal as a success. Did I accomplish it? Pretty close. And I've certainly with 6 months remaining in the year, I will accomplish it. But it was also a pretty passive goal. It didn't really require a lot of introspection. It was a lot, but I definitely kept it in mind as far as every
Like
session I
checking-
ran.
yeah.
I checked a box essentially. I could see that session 4. We're moving along. That session 5. Okay, halfway to my goal. And I didn't necessarily mind that. I think that's something that a lot of DMs could benefit from, setting goals and keeping them not as a way of accountability, because you can totally fail your goal. And there's not going to be Matt Mercer isn't going to drive to your house and scream at you for failing.
Yeah.
What if I want that?
Grant,
then-
really quickly, if you're going to be are you talking about advice, or are you talking about the introspection regarding your goals?
What, me?
Yes.
Oh, I was gonna add something to what Eric just said. So
Yeah,
Okay.
go.
I just want to
kind of.
check because we're running up on the our time limit here, so I wanted
Yeah,
to
no, I was just gonna
check
say,
and make sure.
the checkbox thing, I think that is like an important part of setting goals. It's not that like you need to achieve it necessarily, just if you can break your goal into like subcategories or checkbox or bullet type things that can be tracked, that's one way that can really help gauge whether it's going to be manageable or if it's realistic to expect to finish it. Because that it's a good way to help ground it in reality, so to say. Because even if you fail, that's fine. Failing a goal isn't a problem, but being able to easily check progress, I think, is a big part of setting goals and something you should always think about when you're coming up with it. Because if it's too ambiguous and too like nebulous an idea, it's going to be really hard to figure out, did I achieve this? Is this even possible? Was it possible? Like, what the hell happened?
Yeah. And that's
'Cause I
something
think
that
my
we can
goal-
probably go into greater depth into. Like, but go ahead.
I was just going to say, because I think my goal kind of failed on that, because I think I achieved it, but in hindsight, after listening to Eric, I didn't really necessarily have clear checkboxes, because at what point have I fleshed out a faction? Like, it's too nebulous an idea. Like, I think I've done it, and I'm running in my setting, so I'm I'm willing to commit that I achieved it, but again, yeah, I could have just as easily started this episode with, I have no fucking idea how close I am or how much progress I made to achieving my goal. Which I think was a failing of mine,
Yeah.
even though I succeeded.
Enjoy that Facebook message, Kevin.
It sounds like you succeeded.
It sounds
Regardless.
like you're close enough to succeeding that it doesn't matter if you succeed.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just wanted to throw that out there.
I do think that's a really good point, Grant.
Yes, you do sound like a project manager when you say it, but
Smart goals.
yes,
There's a reason.
Yeah.
Specific, memorable. No, it's measurable. Reasonable, and whatever the T stands for. Timely. Gosh, I
What the
actually have
fuck
no
are you
idea.
saying? I actually
I
don't know
Smart
what you're
goals are
doing.
a thing. Google it. Google smart goals. I'm sure there's some YouTube
Okay.
person with a funny thumbnail who can tell you
I thought
what's
you were
going
having
on.
a stroke.
Probably has like a
Anyway.
red stapler for like Office Space references.
How do I have all these goals?
Ooh, too many goals.
Okay. So, are there any other kind of you touched on the fact that you felt like your goals might have been, or your goal might have been too nebulous. Is there anything that you can tease out of your this whole kind of exercise, like from that, in terms of just general bits of introspection?
Yeah, like I think it would have been better to try to define my terms. So like, what do I mean by fleshed out? Do I just mean I want to have the capital city 2 starter towns and then like the leaders? Did I want to have all the organizations, all like the guilds and sub factions within the factions? Like I probably should have thought about what I meant and defined my terms to keep it grounded in some sort of reality, because I could have made it as complex or as simple as I wanted. I could have had 10 million checkboxes or just 5 checkboxes for each faction. But it would have been nice if I thought about what checkboxes I wanted to include and what a success to like tick the box would have meant.
All right.
If that even
John.
answers the question you were asking me.
John.
went right over my head.
You gave an answer.
Yeah, you
Yes.
spoke for an amount of time. The thing that I'm interested in is like I think a lot of my reflection comes at the end. I'm starting to like develop thoughts and opinions about my campaign, and things that I would have done differently, and things that,
Yeah.
like magic items and the availability thereof. It makes it so hard to give out money. When like you can go to a store and just like throw money at a thing and buy something that you want. I feel like buying magic items takes something away from getting them. I still want to give out a bunch of magic items. I still think that that's the correct answer, but like buying them feels it's complicated. Players, the thing that like really stuck with me last session was, like my players were talking about going into a coliseum to like fight, and it was like 2,000 gold and information towards the thing that they were looking for, and they were like, 2,000 gold's not a lot of money, and I'm like, oh Jesus, okay.
You can buy out every magic potion in the fucking city. All right.
Well, actually, it depends on what type, because like some of the greater and superior healing. Okay.
Shut up. John, continue. Eat your ass.
I'm really glad that ass eating is becoming so prevalent.
I said beat, thank you very much. I did not say I would engorge myself in someone's butthole. Okay?
That's not what eating means. Whatever. Engorged means something different. Anyway, so yeah, like
we'll define this later.
I'm like developing thoughts and feelings of stuff that I would do differently. And I think at the end, I feel like I'm looking forward to the end, not mainly because of like moving on to the next thing or because I'm tired of what I'm doing now, but I want to have a cap on something and be able to like process those feelings to like better have a complete view of it.
Yeah, I think that's something important.
So that's the thing I'm looking forward to. Ask me again in 6 months.
Okay,
that is something I want to do.
You want to do that now? Why don't we make that our final thoughts? Like for this,
I want to make sure we did that
because I don't want to go into deep discussion about why you're choosing this as a goal, because I don't think we have time for that, unfortunately, unless you want to do a part 2. That'll be part of it. If you can subscribe to our Patreon, you'll find out how we question each other's new goals.
Patreon?
No, we don't.
We do.
At the time this recording, now $5 and John takes off his shirt during the streams.
Hot tub stream. You got to be on the Twitch.
No, we're not that
Twitch
fucking
meta
rich.
is important, Kevin.
No, it's over. It's as soon as people talk about it, it's like GME. It's done. All right, so go ahead, Eric. Do you want to start us off with what you think your new resolution will be?
Yep, I have 2. That should be accomplished in by December 31st, 2021. First is I want to have a second party going in my game world. Doesn't need to be OSE. I don't really think the consistency of system in a world really matters that much. That doesn't stress me out.
It doesn't.
But I want to have a second party in a very different.
What's 3 mean?
Yeah, in a very different location. And not have to bounce back and forth every week, but just kind of being a very lackadaisical of, okay, who are we going to play? Which one are we playing this week?
Yeah.
I think that could be
Oh.
kind of interesting, and I just want to try it for a little bit. So I want to do that. As far as
West Marches,
specific
it feels like. But
specific
anyway,
nature goes, I'm going to say 4 sessions of a different party in the same world while the other party is still ongoing. So it doesn't need to be 4 straight. I like to think of it as like maybe 2 cliffhanger, do the other group, come back to the other. The other thing I want to do, and I'm going to put this on record so that way I can help motivate myself. I want to have by December 31st a decent chunk, and I think decent chunk is gonna. I'll measure it by saying it should be done. It should be written. I want something for Zine Quest 4.
oh shit, okay,
So I'm putting me on blast here
it surfaces.
to say, I have a lot of notes jotted around, but I don't think I'll ever have the kind of time and the kind of ability as now, and I should do this. This would be fun. This will be exciting. It'll change the way things are. Change the state of my DMing and my prep. So, Zine Quest 4.
Excellent. All right, who's next up to bat? Sad phrase I just made up. Okay, let's go.
That's an expression.
Next up, bat.
I'll go because I also have 2. Because me and Eric have talked about this. I also kind of want to commit to doing a Zine Quest for the 4th one. That's also something like I've also wanted to do. Because it can be in
Oh shit,
any
he said
system.
zine. He said zine.
He did.
Say zine,
We have it
not
on
Zine.
record.
on record.
Yes,
Whatever.
we're done.
It doesn't matter. Anyway, you're getting away from my point. I'm supposed to... Anyway, I actually...
This
That's
is
something I
important,
want to
Grant.
do as well. I'd actually like to write something for, like, a short little adventure, maybe, or some sort of reference. But anyway, I want to do that. And my other goal is to finish the, one of my 2 campaigns. I've been running my one, like, Fae Inspire campaign for a year and a half. It's pushing 2 years. I would like to be in the final act and have wrapping up be realistically on the horizon.
What does that mean specific? I know you wanted more specific.
By the end of this year. And specifics, I want them to be... The way I'm going to gauge that as being successful or not, I want them to be within a few days' travel of the final fight location. So wherever that be, whatever it might look like, I want them to be traveling actually towards that. Not in the direction, not thinking about it, as in, alright, you guys are 3 days travel from this. You are a week's travel, and they are on the road there. That's how I'm going to mark as that being successful.
John.
Oh boy, I'm boring. I just really want to finish Saltmarsh. Like, I
Solid.
Solid.
It's solid.
I think I'm going to probably going to ditch the secondary goal. I'd really still like to do it. I'm finding Saltmarsh to be like also like an exponential growth amount of prep to do. So I really want to finish that, and I think I really want to focus on finishing that. I should be able to do it. I am dreading at we get to October, and then it gets thrown by the wayside until the end of the year.
Holidays.
I have a wedding in there. I have a honeymoon in there. I have
You're fucked.
holidays. Yes, it's.
How will you survive?
I'll be busy.
Your time is fucking dumpstered now. It's like for the next half of the year.
Yes.
Good for good reasons, but for side projects,
It's it's reasons that I'm like very much looking forward to. That should have happened in April. Or fuck you, COVID.
Becca, I don't want to get married now. Can I finish Saltmarsh first? And can we
I have to finish my
D.
D&D campaign.
What if? Listen, I'm not going to draw a parallel between myself and Matt Mercer finishing their campaign
Fuck yeah.
right before my wedding. But hey, let's
Do it.
and it's an interesting time crunch.
Yeah.
I think that's an even more refined goal. I want to finish it before my wedding.
Shit. All right, there we go.
Love it.
Godspeed, sir.
Yeah, good luck.
Boy. Yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
And your also goes to switch from saying sessions to hours for from here until the end of the year.
The goal needs to be attainable. He's be able to do it. He's not going to do it.
I just have another 40 hours ahead of me. I just
Yeah.
40 to 48 hours ahead of me.
Put a
There we
solid
go.
Soon,
That
we'll be
math
done.
checks out.
Okay. In one more in one way or not.
Yeah, Kevin
Invisible
yours.
person off to the left that I was whispering to me. I don't know. I honestly don't know what that is because I don't think I am.
How you come at games, how you come at RPGs has changed.
Yes. I don't have I have ones that are like, okay, well, there's like a few systems I want to try, and that's something, right? To do a one shot to them. But the problem for me is also, I guess what I can say is I want to get past the feeling like I'm doing side things.
Mhm.
Like these are self-contained like things that I'm running maybe, but that's something that's also not as concrete. Because I think secretly, whether it's in this group or in other groups, it feels like people are like, all right, he's doing his jaunt into the fucking van across the United States, and then he's gonna come back a new man and ready to engage with normal content. And I don't think that's the case. I think this is the way it's going to be, at least until I graduate, which God knows when that'll be. So I guess that's what I can say. Like there's at least two systems three, maybe two systems. So Mothership, I want to run something within that system. And then and I have ideas for that. So that is definitely attainable. And then I think something directly within Electric Bastionland as well is the kind of the next one. So we'll see where that goes. And that's all I can say right now, because it's going through the motions is something that's said, I think, with a greater frequency than what its meaning intends. But that is something where I am definitely going through the motions. I have lost my spark, and it is not something that I don't think will be found again, at least within the next couple of years. I've gained some new hobbies though out of that, which I think are fulfilling for me in ways that RPGs are not. But yeah, on that dour note.
You did shout out to really fantastic communities, by the way, Mothership and Electric Bastionland.
Oh, especially Mothership's community is like ridiculous in terms of what they put out.
It is genuinely, I think, and this is not even a slight at any other game system, period. Mothership has the best community as far as willingness to work with people, willingness for designers to really engage, and then for the system itself to promote the writers. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. I hope one of our two listeners will pick up on that.
We have more than two listeners.
That's all my puzzle.
Prove it.
I'll mail you something.
Yeah. If there's more, if there is a listener out there, if you leave on this episode whatever this tweet, wherever you can find it, if you leave a message saying, I listen, I'm here, right? Do so, and we'll know. Otherwise, that number is 0 for all intents and purposes. Anyway, so I think we're going to go ahead and head out here. I don't know why I saluted the camera. We'll deal with that later. You can reach us through a number of means. There is the Zone of Hot Truth on Twitter, so you can hit our handle up there. There's a number of other communications, including recorded messages you can leave on Anchor. So that's pretty easy to find. With this Zone of Hot Truth and Anchor in your search bar, and you'll find it. I'm not going to give you a complicated address there. And a few of us are on Twitter as well. You'll find our handles probably somewhere on the pages, so you can hit us up there as well. last thing I'll leave you all with is thank you for listening, and stop rolling those dice.
Ooh.
What?
Ooh. I've killed the recording. I've stopped mine.
Stopped.
Okay.
All right. Oh, what are we naming this?
Resolutions.
Eeyore Kevin
0.5?
strikes again.
Hey, ready? 6 MOS check-in.
6
Six
MOS?
6 MOS.
MOS months. It's a standard abbreviation.
Or
It is
just
not.
MO.
What? No, that's month. Months is. Oh God, you guys
Yeah,
kill
it's
me.
6. You could say
Yeah.
6-month check-in. That no, it's. I feel like it's more correct to say 6-month check-in instead of 6
Can we
months
say-
check-in.
Because the way Grant is saying, can we just call it 6-month chicken and be done with it?
A chicken.
This
6 moss check-in.
this
I'm
is 6
saving.
chicken.
I'm saving mine as 6-month chicken.
I'm saving
Yeah.
mine as 6 chicken. We'll deal with it later. Um,
All right.
I'm
let me save
creating
my
a folder.
project first.
Okay, I was just about to ask.
What's today's
export-
date? 05,
Wait.
19.
19, 21.
Hey, Kevin, I recognize that was really hard, but good on you.
Seriously.
What?
Yeah.
I like saying how you feel.
Yeah. Talking about the deep stuff.
Yeah. People don't do it. Let's
I have
see.
a strong request for next episode.
Do you?
Oh, shit.
Also,
What
just
is it?
remember we're still live because
That's
we,
fine.
we're still doing it that way, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Not just.
Just reminding people.
Okay, I was about to take off my shirt and my pants, but go ahead, Eric. Yeah, that's gonna be the running joke. Our one listener.
So, I really think
Please.
I will Twitch Prime sub instantly. Can
we sub to
if-
ourselves?
We
no,
can.
we're not partnered.
Actually, no, we can't. We
Um,
need 50 followers and like. Anyway, Eric.
Start the Omar revolution.
Secret sauce.
The episode, next episode, I think should be oh God, I had a good title for it and I'm blanking on it now. I have a better blog title. Essentially, you're a terrible DM.
Ooh.
Explain.
I like where this
You're-
is going.
Just the title is you're a terrible DM, and then in the description, essentially, and other things players say that they shouldn't.
Oh. So like an
Did we
episode
hit on
about
this?
well, we've already done DM
did
pet
pet
peeves.
peeves.
So is this
It's
going
not
to
a
be
pet
things we
peeves thing.
hate
Yeah.
about our
No,
players?
no.
Things
it's-
players shouldn't
it's-
do.
It's things DMs should hear, as far as, you are going to doubt the self-doubt, the social
Yeah.
contract element of like players are going to say some things to you sometimes as a DM that are really, really uncalled for, and it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. It's not a matter of who. The thing is just being able to say to people, look, is I doubt almost any podcast really gets in touch with that. I think a lot of DMs hear these things but never talk about it. A lot of the podcasts just say things like how to draw a map.
Like Koval has started.
Yeah.
I think
Yes.
it's just in some degree.
He's
which
the
is great.
closest I've ever seen someone. A
Yeah.
web DM
I,
gets adjacent-ish, but never all the way.
I like that. I like that for an episode, like things you might hear or will hear, and how to handle that, or when it's okay to just be like, no, if a player says this, like pull them aside.
Because I think
Are we
the other
allowed to
thing
use
is-
names? I'm kidding. But anyway.
No, I was trying to think like what name would I like? What specific example would I think a name is going to add value?
See, when Karen decides to,
That's funny.
or unfortunately,
That
it's
bitch
Kevin is the
Carol
male
Bath.
Kevin.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Where is
That's good deep cut, John.
where's the folder?
I think that could be kind of interesting because I think it's something too. I mean, just generally talking about it, that's players should stand up to their DMs 1,000 times more than they do, and the fact they don't is actually really, really sad.
the video game, right?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I like this for an episode. I'd also like to get terrain or like that bit back on the docket because
Sure.
by the time we end up recording that, I will have run like 5 or 6 sessions by that point using terrain. And that's like just straight up D&D, so it's not going to be like, oh well, I mean, I've played like Gloomhaven, which has like terrain tiles, because like, I mean, it's similar, but it's not quite terrain in the sense that the episode would be about. It's like, it's more an alternative than terrain.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
between like the 5 or 6 D&D sessions in my live game with all like the Gloomhaven bullshit, I feel like I can actually talk about terrain now.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds good. I think it's a little bit of a tonal whiplash compared to the topic Eric just suggested. But
well, I just want to get it back on the docket.
All right,
Well,
why don't we
it
cut
doesn't
this
matter
straight?
which would you, which would we rather?
Wait,
as
did you just
the,
say cut the stream?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. So thank
Which
you
would we
for the non-existent listeners that Kevin does not believe exist. I guess
I
we
don't.